Hey, Mark.
There you are. Oh, I like the background. Yeah, that's nice.
Whoop, whoop, look at her. She's looking good.
Hello. How's everyone doing?
Wow. What's up? What's up?
What's up?
All right. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. This is area meeting 3. We're going to do several things tonight. First, we're going to have to run through some.
All right, we'll give everyone about 1 or 2 more minutes to join before we get going here.
Playoff test, not the actual questions.
Hey, Bob, you might want to ask everybody to mute or else it's going to get really noisy. Unless you
Yeah,
can just
we're going to
mute
master
everybody.
mute everyone once we start.
Perfect. Perfect.
That's Manuel's job.
Yeah.
You're in trouble if you're giving him a technology item.
Manuel, Manuel, we gave you one job. Oh, he's not even here yet.
Yeah, he's here. Manuel.
He's here.
Whoa, what up, Dave Poe?
But I listen in and be a part of it. Try to get my mind into the swing of things.
Nice.
I'm so happy you're here.
Now, you see me now?
We see you now.
I hear
Thank
you now.
you.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't see you.
You
Hey,
don't
what's
see me?
that? Is that some brown sugar bourbon that was sitting up there on that shelf?
There's all kinds of bourbon up there.
Nice. K Chan, what's up, brother?
What's up,
Not a hell of
Scott?
a lot.
Jake?
Abigail Gustavo was killing me already.
Mac, we can barely see you.
Manny, that might be me too. I'm hiding under my hat over here.
No,
This
I
is
can see you,
Jake,
Jake,
everyone.
but I can barely see Mac.
Yeah, that's the goal. You don't want to see me.
What's up, Mac?
I'll try to get some light in here in just a second.
Okay.
Wow.
That's certainly a man cave for sure.
Looks like he was building some bombs or something in there. It's pretty dark.
Hey, we can't afford real lights up here in Bothell, so you gotta do what you can get.
Oh, there she is. What's up?
Not much. What's up with you?
Nothing.
Oh,
Your bourbon is still sitting, or your whiskey is still sitting on my table.
Yeah, and your pan for the cobbler is sitting on my table.
And my golf clubs are in your trunk.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we got a good amount of people. I want to see what Avostavo's wearing. Oh yeah.
How you doing, everybody? Mike, you good?
Good. Thanks for joining.
So good to see everybody.
What's up with your Cowboys, Jeff?
Oh my goodness. I was just waiting for that.
You just broke his heart, Randy.
You know you're going to get that from me, man.
You know, when you have 12 people on injured reserve, the referee, watch a guy get knocked down and robbed, and then they pick up a ball and run it. I don't know.
I was rooting for you guys just on Sunday. I was hoping you guys took out the Cardinals.
In other words, the Cowboys, they just sucked.
Yeah. Well, you guys' Dak was huge, though.
Yeah, that's a big loss. Plus we only have one lineman left with less than 2 years experience. So,
Dude, but CeeDee Lamb is like killing it, though.
He's the next Julio Jones. Trust me. And
Exactly.
even Pollard ran the ball well.
Sounds like a Cowboys fan for about the last 25 years.
Oh, man.
Yeah, kind of. How'd you know I was 28?
I always thought Cowboy fans were like
We're like what?
our lifers, your lifers.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. It
Bob.
looks like it's 6:05. We've got a pretty good number of people in here. Thanks to everyone for hopping on. We'll just jump right into it. I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Chuck
And
Corelli
then,
doesn't have his camera.
Manny, can you go ahead and mute, please? And then as we present, feel free to ask questions or provide comments via the chat. And then at the end of this, we'll have some You Make the Calls where we'll open up questions and have people off mute. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
I see Kevin Chin's note. Yeah, we see your screen.
Awesome. So again, thank you for joining. Welcome to the 2021 PNBOA Academy. I know it's a weird time, so we found a way to continue training and provide an outlet for everybody here. Myself, Jeff, and Manny are excited to present to you guys. And what we've done here is I put in my favorite quote just to change it up a little bit, which is, do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. And that was a quote by John Wooden. We'll each introduce ourselves. So Manny, if you want to kick it off here.
Yes, Manuel Fernandez, been officiating for about 25 years now, member of the PNBOA for the last 20. I'm glad to be here and make sure that we can help, especially during this time, bring everybody to stay engaged during the off season. And hopefully this is of great help. Thank you.
Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Jeff Shelton. I was fortunate enough to officiate for 35 plus years, all the way up to the D2 level. I was fortunate enough to go to a lot of state tournaments and have a lot of fun. I also was honored a couple years ago by being inducted to the PNBOA Hall of Fame, which is a really big deal for me. Thank you to all of you. And I've been an official observer for the PNBOA and SLWB back in the day for probably the last 6 or 7 years. And that's my short story. Sticking to it.
Awesome. And then I'm Bob Huntzberger. And again, I'm excited to help out with this and provide knowledge to the group. A couple of the plays at the end here, I think, are going to be really good talking points. So I'm excited to share those as well. I've been refereeing for 7 years, going on my 8th year here. I started out in Snohomish County and then transferred over after 3 years. I worked smaller college ball out here, and I've been fortunate to work high school playoffs for the past 3 years now.
And we are happy to have you, Bob.
Thanks. So just general formatting for the Academy this year. As we stated earlier, it's going to be a little bit different. Everything's going to run through Zoom. And we're planning on Tuesday nights each week, obviously starting tonight and then running through December 8th with one session on Wednesday. We're going to have no meeting during Thanksgiving. And then this breaks out to 8 sessions over 7 weeks. And the reason there's 8 and 7 weeks is because we have 2-person and 3-person positioning on separate days in the same week, because that's going to hit a different target audience. You're more than welcome to join both, but we did want to allow those to be on separate days for people to choose one if they'd like. We'll run from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. and then 40 minutes of presentations. And hopefully 20 minutes of you make the calls. I know that could turn into 40 minutes just because plays bring up a lot of discussion. And then lastly, again, just reiterating, we'll manage the chat for important comments or questions during the presentation. And then during you make the call, we will unmute for comments and questions.
Okay, so week 1, we're going to talk about intro and pregame with basically Bob. He's going to go over the pregame checklist.
Yep. And then week 2, rule changes and points of emphasis by Jessica Wilkinson and Mike Lloyd.
Week 3, we're going to have 2-person coverage with Dougie Fresh Miller and Stacy I Am the Queen Brodzik.
And then the second part of week 3, we're doing 3-person coverage with 2 officials out of Spokane, Benny the Jet Wolf and Josh Reeder.
You got week 4.
Week 4, we'll be going over communication, which includes players, coaches, partners. We'll dive into a little bit of pregame, a little bit of postgame. It's really open forum on communication just because that's a huge part of our job. And that will be by myself and Ezekiel Simmons.
All right, week 5, game management. Bo and Rod Mar.
It's my favorite picture of Rod.
Yeah. Larger than life.
Week 6, happy Thanksgiving for everyone. We're not going to have anything that week again. And then week 7, we're going to do game management, presented by yours truly, Leslie Smith and Manny Fernandez.
And then week 8, atypical situations with Chuck Frayne and Jeremy Lazowski. They're going to be talking about some really, really cool situations and stuff that may help you put some more tools in your toolbox.
Okay, so let's jump into this. I'm going to pull up this document so you can see it better. And then we'll go through this and we will share it after the call so you'll have this.
Hey, and while he's doing that, just keep in your mind that there's more than one pregame sheet out there. And at officials as a crew, you all may have a different sheet, but as long as everybody participates and gets involved in it, and you do have a pregame, you've solved half the battle. So don't think that this is the cure-all here. It's not the master of the world. Normally as an official, take 2 or 3 things that you see from each person and put that into your game box, right? This is just a basic format for you if you want it.
Yeah, well said. So starting at the top here, I know we're going to cover these next week with Mike Lloyd and Jessica Wilkinson, but just bullet pointing them. These should be some talking points to kick off the pregame. And this year's points of emphasis are block charge, legal guarding position, intentional/flagrant fouls. So like atypical situations, which Chuck and Jeremy will present on. And then proper use of signals, which Mike and Jessica will also touch on next week. And then we jump into coverage fundamentals for each position on the floor. So lead, center, and trail. And then we did have a week dedicated to this as well with Josh and Ben. So as you can see, a lot of these topics in our pregame sheet that we designed are going to be covered for a full session. So please take notes, do what you need to do to get ready for the season this year. Just high level trail, official should be at the 28-foot line or below with sideline orientation. And then in the back court, coming up into the front court, we should be at between 0 steps or 2 steps to the side of the player, and 0 or 2 steps behind the player and 2 steps to the side of the player. And that's in relation to the ball handler. So we have a good vision through the ball handler and the defender.
Correct.
The center official starting position is going to be top foot on the free throw line extended, and then we'll use 1 to 2 position adjustments from there. Lead official, in transition, we need to hustle down and get to the inline to accept the players. And then the key here is going to be pick up the post play early. And our initial starting position is going to be mirroring the ball. So if the ball is On the outside of strong side, we're going to mirror the ball and adjust out, and then etc. If the ball gets swung over, we're then going to mirror it and work to close down, and then potentially rotation if the ball stops and or pauses on that opposite third of the court. Rotations are also crucial, so this is another topic to discuss in pregame. Find a reason to rotate. Again, mirror the ball. That's the biggest thing, is lead. Lead's going to dictate rotations. And then we do not rotate on the immediate three, which are shot, drive, or skip pass. Another topic to bring up during pregame to get on the same page with your crew is play calling and then philosophies. So post play, how are we going to referee that tonight? We each have different tolerance levels, right? So the big thing I would say is, by calling the first illegal act, that's going to clean up post play, and that's going to make our job a lot easier throughout the rest of the game. We call it early, they now know, hey, we've deemed that as a foul, and they know not to repeat. And if they do, they know it's going to be a foul. So any sort of freedom of movement. And then we need to pay attention to the feet in the post, which we'll share some clips of some post travels later on as the weeks move forward. Freedom of movement.
Who's eating chips?
Not chips. Ice cream bar.
Oh, okay.
Freedom of movement. We're looking for the offensive player's rhythm, speed, balance, and quickness to be affected or impeded. And so to simplify that, it's RSBQ. It's a big topic to discuss because, again, we each have different tolerance levels of contact between marginal, incidental, and illegal. So these play calling topics are very important. Screening, we need to understand the rule there and then enforce illegal screens. Last year, the year before, I remember I was working a game with Leslie and Doug, and we called, no joke, we called 5 or more illegal screens within the first 5 minutes of the game. And the rest of the game was pretty smooth from there as far as screening goes, because they learned that they couldn't continue screening how they were setting them. Next one on here, protecting jump shooters. So we need to take the shooter up, down, plus a step. And then point of contact on jump shooters can now be anywhere. Typically, it's going to be elbow to wrist, but it's now body contact with the torso tap. It can also be not allowing the shooter to land. So the shooter landing on the defender's foot as they come out. So any point of contact on a jump shooter is a foul. The airborne shooter has a right to land. So if the defender's impeding that and makes contact with the shooter, we need to have that foul. That's how players twist their ankles, break their ankles, things like that. So another important topic here is finding the feet. So 2 verse 3. So be good at finding the feet and then going to the point of contact. Next topic here is ball handler dribbler. So again, impeding the progress of the ball handler. If we have 2 hands on from the defender, if we have an extended arm bar that's now riding that ball handler, if we have a stayed hand or multiple touch, which is also jabbing. So jabbing, once you find your first touch, that's kind of your feel, but the second or third one becomes a foul. And that, again, is also going to clean the game up and make it a lot easier for us to officiate. Next item on here is legal guarding position. So this is an important definition, and it will help us with the point of emphasis of block charge plays. So to establish initial legal guarding position, the defender must have both feet on the ground and in bounds and be facing the opponent. To maintain legal guarding position, the defender is allowed to move laterally or obliquely, but not towards or forward. They may raise their hands and jump within their vertical plane, and they may turn or duck to absorb contact. So we typically see this with block charge plays. We've got 2 of them at the end of the presentation here. And the first one I think will probably be a 10 to 15 minute discussion on if it was a block or a charge. I'm still not 100% sure. Next up, we need to understand team control. So a team has control when the player of that team is in control, when a live ball is being passed between teammates of that team, during an interrupted dribble. So if I have the ball and I dribble it off my knee, my team still has team control. And then also when player has disposal of a ball for a throw-in. So when we hand the player the ball and we start our count, that's disposal. Next topic here, which myself and Zeke will be diving into a little bit deeper when we present, is communication. And there's a lot to talk about here. So just to sum it up really quick, as a crew, we need to have good game awareness. We need to know the bonus when there's 6 fouls, so we know the next one's going to be 1 and 1, or when there's 9, so we then know the next one's going to be 2 shots. Inbound spots, how many fouls a team has left to give, like take foul situations at the end of a game, how many timeouts remain, and then time and score is very important as well. Clocks can really help accelerate your career. If we're really good with the clocks, then we should have a really good game. We need to know the game clocks and the shot clocks. We need to know when we need to reset, when there's errors and how to handle those, and then also the 10-second backcourt. Another discussion here would be double whistles. How are we going to handle those? We always need to post a foul. That's going to slow us down. So say I'm working with Manuel and he and I both have a foul. If we post here, we now have time to make eye contact and decide who's going to take the foul, which we're going to give it up to the official that has that primary coverage on the play. Again, yep, make eye contact. And then if the foul or violation or vice versa needs to be communicated, we need to communicate what happens first. So block charge plays, if a primary defender pushes the ball handler from behind and now he crashes in or she crashes into the secondary defender, we need to be really strong and understand and communicate to our partner, hey, there was a push from behind first before we show the block and we show the charge. So again, how we're going to handle those. Eye contact and communication are huge. Again, we all have different tolerance levels. So issues with players and coaches, individually, we're going to handle differently. So that's something to bring up in the pregame and discuss. Make sure we're on the same page with warnings and we're able to identify potential disruptors or problem matchups. And then also something that's a little bit next level, but say I'm having an issue with a coach or a player, I'm going to relate that to the crew. And now if I'm stuck at C in front of that coach and we need to have a conversation, but I'm not ready to do so, potentially getting your partner over there to have that conversation, or finding a time, hey, my partner will be over, versus putting your partner in the hot seat who is now done with that coach. So again, coming to an agreement as a crew, how we're going to handle issues with players and coaches. Last item here with the communication is atypical situations. Again, we'll discuss that later in more depth. If we do have something come up, we need to get together and send players to their benches, communicate with each other, and then come out with what's best for the game there and enforce the rules as written. Keys to a good game. I know everyone's heard these, but call the obvious, own your primary, do not guess, trust your partners and trust the system. And then the biggest thing for me is always to have fun out there. We do this for fun first and for the kids first.
Thanks, Bob. Hey, there's 3 things that you should have gotten from this pregame. Communicate, communicate, communicate. You can never go wrong over communicating as a crew.
That's so true. So true. And then I will jump over to Jeff's slide here, and he's going to talk about partnering. And some of the highlights he'll touch on here are teamwork makes the dream work. Again, it's not about you, it's about the crew. And then to be a good partner, we must lead from behind, pull the crew up, put the crew before yourself, show humility and be humble. And then as Jeff's going to allude to, partnering starts in the car. Be engaged in the pregame and on the road trip to the game. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. Be open to feedback and celebrate the success of others.
Yeah, nice job, Bob.
Go ahead, Jeff. Thank you.
So I saw there was 49 people online, so thank you all very much for coming. This is for you, so we really appreciate it. Hopefully by the time I get in the middle of my speech here, there'll still be at least 12 people online. So I appreciate all of you. So yeah, so one of the keys to being a good partner is it's in the manner in which we interact and the manner in which we relate to each other as a crew. Primary fundamentals of officiating. If you want to have the end result looking good, have the crew on the same page. You'll probably hear this phrase sometime in your career. It's crew integrity. Okay, we don't need somebody out there being the showboat, somebody out there being the pretty guy. We need all 3 officials on the same page doing the same thing. True, once in a while, somebody will check out, or you'll kick a call, you'll be beating yourself up. It's up to those other 2 officials to reel you back in. I've done things like free throw shots, spin the ball to your partner back in the day, or crack a joke on the way by, or just do something to get them back into the game. Those 2 or 3 officials, they're a team out there. And if we remember back in the day, 1 for all and all for one, that's how we need to work. If you don't have this, you're probably not going to have a cohesive crew. When we think about partnering, in terms of what we do on the floor, absolutely. Partnering starts a lot of times before you get on the floor. It starts in the car, in the restaurant, at a clinic, on the phone. It also starts with homework and information sharing. Knowledge is more powerful when you share. We have 3 different kinds of communication. We have bottom up, top down, and we have blended. As a crew, we need to have that blended communication because everybody brings something special to the game, no matter what year you are, no matter what division you work, or how great you are, or how many state tournaments. Everybody has something special to bring. Pre-games, whatever, don't sit there and shake your head like a bobblehead. Seriously, I've seen a lot of crews going through pre-games. Everybody's, oh yeah. And then they leave the locker room and then they forget everything that we've just talked about. That's because they didn't get engaged. They sat there and went, oh yeah, okay. You guys and gals, everybody needs to contribute to the pregame. You get out of it what you put into it. Commitment, it's all about you're contributing, making your crew relationship strong so that when you referee the team, you're going to pick each other up. Just don't look at partnering with what you do on the court. Partnering is a verb, right? And we all know that a verb means what? Action. So we need to get out there and be the best crew we can. Some keys to being a good partner on and off the court are, first thing we have to do is we have to step outside of our comfort zone. We must do what's right for the situation. Bob kind of talked about that. We must do what's right not only for our partners, but more importantly for the game. We're there for the kids. We're there to officiate. We're there to do a fair professional job. It helps the kids. It helps the fans. It helps the video cameras, because we know everybody's got a cell phone camera. Everybody's got a video camera. You know, I used to tell, you know, I was a police officer for 26 years. I used to tell people that I trained, you have to go out and everything you do is integrity. And integrity means doing the right thing when nobody is watching you. But everybody's got a camera. Everybody's got a phone. We need to do the right thing. When you think about partnering, you have to think about way beyond 2 people that you're involved with, or the 3 people. You got to look at that from a broader scope. It becomes part of your game management. Prepare yourself mentally. The fear of failure is probably at its highest level. You put yourself in the box. We're afraid to make mistakes. I've worked with people, and I remember a playoff game at Lake Washington back in the day, Lake Washington, Redmond, girls game. Probably, you know, there's no seats available in the gym. I looked over at my partner and goes, and I said, "Oh my God, this is going to be amazing." I said, "Look at all these people." He turned around and looked, puked on the floor and ran off the floor. We had to hold the game up for 10 minutes because he was so nervous. It's okay to have butterflies, right? There has to be some tremendous mental preparation each game, that you're not afraid to make a mistake. You want to be in that position to make that last call. If you were a shortstop, 2 outs, bases loaded, you want that ball to get hit to you because you're mentally prepared. Best officials have that trait. They have the guts to want to take that last shot from the area, make that big block charge call, wave off the basket, and call that goaltending. Making the call knowing very well that it's going to bring a lot of controversy. If you're not ready to be in that position, then you're not mentally prepared to officiate. I've seen this failure absolutely paralyze officials. We have to stay in our perspective, right? We're just small dots in this game of basketball. Keep a perspective that the game is not there for you, that the game is for the kids, and we are there for the game. Let your competitiveness show on the court through being the best that you can be. Every referee has an obligation to develop their full potential. God gave official talents that no one else has. We have patience, we have demeanor, we have ego, we have all kinds of tools in our toolbox. Everyone doesn't have the same talent because we're not made from cookie cutters, but we all have something special to bring to the game. Just because we put on the shirt doesn't make us a referee. If you're an official out there trying to do a job. Your ego. I hope everybody has an ego. I hope you come to the game mentally prepared. But there's a line between ego and confidence. But check your ego so it doesn't overrun somebody else's, and keep your ego in check. You can't work a game without some ego. However, if your ego gets in the way, you're going to have major problems. Egos must be conforming style and not a confrontational style, if that makes sense. Give and receive feedback professionally and respectfully. Don't have all the answers when you may not know all the questions. You don't want to get in a situation where a supervisor, observer, evaluator will not critique you because you think you have all the answers. If you're ever too good to stop receiving feedback, you'll probably see your peers start to write you off and declining assignments with you. Celebrate sincerely. Not your success, but the success of others. What a way to bond with someone when you show more joy and excitement about what they were able to do than what they were. This is one of the great characteristics of successful people, is that they can celebrate other people's successes. Even though deep down it may hurt, don't make someone feel bad to tell you that, hey, I moved up to varsity, I got promoted, I got a college gig. Hey, you know, I got 40 games this year, or a good assignment. You know, I got the game of the night. Ladies and gentlemen, every game to those kids is the game of the night. Contribute to the quality of other people's experiences. You want to lift someone up or help them out, help them pull themselves in a situation where they're not having a quality experience on the floor. This aspect can carry over to the locker room and off the floor as well in your pregame. Accept responsibility for ourselves, including our circumstances, our decisions, and our attitudes. You are what happens to you, and not someone else's fault, but it's on you if you don't succeed. Be a problem solver, not a finger pointer. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And don't be bitter, be better. And that's it for me. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, so a couple items that stood out there were failing, right? We've all done it. I failed at the highest level that I work with my assigner in the gym. It's not a good feeling, right? And it was my first foul call of the game last year. So how do you reset yourself? Like Jeff said, how do you recover from that? How do you get better from that? So one of my mantras that I use is fail forward. That play happened. We had to send the teams to their benches and come out with the correct ruling as a crew because we had a double whistle on a play where both officials showed the foul. And it wasn't good, but is it going to break you or is it going to make you? So basically moving forward and getting better from that. So I took the time the rest of the game to slow myself down. Didn't have another double whistle that game. And mentally just reset myself. It doesn't matter. We administered it right. Let's move on. Next play forward, right? So self-talk. And so again, mantra being fail forward. And how do we do that? We learn from what we just failed at. We get better from it. I slowed myself down.
Yep.
So just some feedback there, personal example. And then the other item that I really liked that Jeff said and has helped my career tremendously would be feedback. If somebody says something to you or gives you a critique or feedback that you don't like, just move on. Thank them and move on. It's that simple. There's no need to fight back on it. The other item that goes with that is find mentors. It's about pulling everybody else up with you, right? So give back. Once you get into a position to give back, give back. And then as you're trying to move up, find somebody that you can send plays to, share your plays so everybody else can get better from them. And then just have somebody that you can trust to share feedback that you may have received after a game or at a camp. And just leave it there. It doesn't need to be out in the open. Just leave it with somebody you trust who mentors you, who has your success at their interest, their best interest, right? That's been extremely helpful. And then the other thing would be when you do hear good feedback, you may hear different things said by different clinicians like myself, Shelton, and Manny. We may have a different opinion or philosophy on something, but we need to find what works for each one of us, right? So take the feedback, and if it works for you, apply it and implement it. If it doesn't, maybe Manny's feedback will, maybe Jeff's will, maybe mine doesn't fit, you know? So find what works for you.
Come on, Baba.
Find somebody that you trust to bounce that feedback off of. And then when you're in a position to give back and make everybody else better.
Yeah, good job, Bob. If you hear something more than once or twice, then you should probably take a second look at it.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Cool. All right. So we're getting to the fun part now. We've got two you make the calls. How
Hey,
we
Bob,
want to run this.
Bob,
Yeah.
Before you go into the clips, I want to go back to the pregame and remind everybody that that because we varsity officials, we do not have a lot of time sometimes to do a complete pregame. just remember to pick about 2 or 3 things that are important to you or that are unique to you that you need to share or want to share with your partners. So there is that communication and trust during the game. Yeah.
Hey, and as an observer, if there's some reason that you're coming from a JV game or getting late to a varsity game, you know what? I would have rather have you have it at mid-court. At least you're communicating and talking.
Yeah, it sets you up for success, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Because I can definitely tell you, I've had Jeff watch plenty of my games in the stands, and he can tell when we've talked about philosophies, play calling, where we've communicated in the pregame, and he can definitely tell when we haven't. So I've been on both sides of that.
All right.
All right, let's get into the fun part now.
Good put, Gibby.
Yep.
All right, so how we want to run this is, again, this is our first week doing you make the call plays. Ideally, I want to learn how to set up a poll in the future. I know we have that capability, but for now, why don't you reply in the chat with what you have on the play? And Manny, if you can watch the chat there and we have some good points, we can bring people on to share their input before we give our breakdown. So let me get out of here. I got them in YouTube.
I heard there was an evaluator there.
There was. So I'm going to play this on YouTube.
Jeremy already said that it's a block.
Bob, I just think it's bad coaching probably by O'Neill. So, you know, he never got a call at St. Martin's. So,
all right. So I'm going to play this at 0.75 speed. Let's get some feedback on if it's choppy or not for you guys. And what I'll do is I can slow it down to 0.5. And then we'll run quality on auto. So I'll run it through twice, and then I can slow it down, and then let's have a good discussion about it.
Bob, do you click optimize video before you shared your screen?
Okay, so you can see it's a high impact call. If I forward it here, 19.6 seconds left in the game, and it's a 1-point game. So I will play it again, but there's some background info on that.
Bob, everybody says it's pretty blurry. Do we have a way of?
It's pretty blurry on my side as well. Is it skipping?
Bob, did you choose optimize video before you shared your screen?
How do I do that?
So when you go, I guess if you unshare your screen, and then when you go share screen, there'll be a little checkbox at the bottom that'll say optimize video.
Advanced sharing?
No, there should be 2 check boxes at the bottom of your share of the screen when you get ready to share.
Oh, optimize screen share for video clip. I see it there.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I just checked it on. Let's try it again. And you know what? Let me find the chat. I'm going to put this in the chat too. Let's see. Where is the chat?
I think when you're sharing, you don't get the chat. I think we discovered that last night.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, can you see that? Let's see if this plays any better.
Looks better already. Oh.
He's still playing it at like 3/4 or half speed.
But play it at 50%.
Play at 50?
Yeah,
Or-
50. Yeah.
Or,
Okay.
or even try it at full speed now that you have
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that'd be better.
Okay. Was that any better? Was that any better?
We can see
Man.
what is going on. So
I'm going to share the YouTube link too here in the chat.
Already shared, Bob. Already,
Oh, you did?
2 people already put it in there. So
Awesome. Thank you. All right. What do we have in the chat section? Let's have some dialogue here. Or do you guys need some time to pull up the YouTube video?
Yeah, give him a few seconds for them to, yeah.
All right, so the learning from this play, the reason I shared it is it's a block charge play, right? High impact call, and that's a point of emphasis this year is block charge. So understanding legal guarding position, which is 2 feet on the floor facing the opponent, right? And then able to maintain moving laterally or obliquely. So use that when you're breaking this down.
No, thank you. No, I'll get it in a few. Thank you.
Well, so far we have everybody calling it a block.
Yeah.
One.
So we've got 1, 2, 3, what, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks, 7, 8 blocks, 9 blocks,
Yeah.
10 blocks, and we've got
The lone setter here.
Wow.
Hey, that's okay though.
No, that's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
looks
I
like
just saw it
we've got
differently.
1.
Oh, we got 2.
3.
Three,
Bite of that.
10 blocks and 3 charges, 11 blocks and 3 charges.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone want to chime in and break the play down?
I can.
Okay, thank you.
I'm new, by the way. My name is Jeremy Macbeth. I've
Thanks for
officiated
being
in
on.
2 different states, Arizona and Nevada, and now here.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm just going to go through the play as I see it. He's going to be the secondary defender, obviously. He seems to have gained legal guarding position as the offensive player is driving to the ball. He has, his torso facing the ball handler. And I'm looking at his feet the entire time, and they're set. So when the defender makes his cut away from the basket, it seems that he's moving his feet laterally instead of forward, because I understand the way he's falling, it makes it seem like he jumped into the defender, but then the guy wasn't there, like I'm saying. But he buckles back after his feet moved laterally. To me, laterally means side to side. And that's exactly what it looked like to me. See, if you see his on the screen right now, his right foot. See how it's moving laterally with the free throw line? It just makes it seem like it is a lateral movement. So I would like to give big props to the lead. I think he made a great call, but I could definitely see how that could also be a charge. I don't like to say coin flip calls, 50-50 calls, but this definitely looks like it could be one of those. But I firmly stand by that this was a charge.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Do we have anyone else who wants to jump in and I can freeze it or play it as needed? All right, I will
I don't
bring
have
up,
anybody. Yeah.
yeah, no worries. I will bring up our breakdown of the play then.
By the way, I think this crew set the high school record for player control fouls for the year.
Yeah, I think there was 8 in that game.
Telling you, it's just bad coaching by O'Neal.
All right, so here's what we came up with as a group. For me personally, I did struggle with block or charge on this play. Live, obviously, I had a charge. Video review, being able to slow it down. Basically, I'll just read this, whatever. It comes down to our judgment, and if the defender is moving forward, which is illegal, or laterally, which is legal. This was a very difficult play. The lead recognizes that the trail is out of position. So again, as we discussed earlier, the trail needs to work the 28-foot mark and be sideline oriented. When the ball goes to the corner, the lead mirrors the ball and finds the primary defender to assist the trail that's out of position. Once the primary defender gets beat, the lead gets his eyes to the secondary defender. The secondary defender establishes initial legal guarding position with 2 feet on the floor facing the opponent. And then as Jeff, Manny, and I discussed this play, we agreed that the defender moves forward into the offensive player's path. The lead incorrectly calls a player control foul. The lead also does a poor job of reporting the foul as he does not get to the reporting area. We need to get out past the 3-point arc to find the reporting area. So I can play it one more time and we can look at the positioning as well here. So when we break film down, it's great to go through and look at the calls, right? That's why we clip the play. But the next layer of that, and what's going to accelerate your career and also make you a much better official, is to look at the positioning of the lead, the center, and the trail. So this first freeze frame here, ball is now in the front court, correct? Trail is still in the back court. Trail should have a position that is about even with this ball handler so that you can see the space between the ball handler and the defender, the on-ball defender. And then also by this freeze frame, it looks like there's a potential screen that is coming. So the center would need to adjust high to potentially help with that screen. So that's how we need to look at these freeze frames here. Get our mind thinking like we're actually working the game right now. As we roll forward, you can see the screen dissolves, it doesn't even happen, and it's a pass. So they start to swing the ball. So can the trail right here see between the ball handler and the next defender? The answer would be no. He's looking at the back of the ball handler. So we always want to have an open angle and work and fight for our correct positioning. So right now, ideally, we would like to see the trail down about at that 28-foot line with a sideline orientation.
Hey, Bob, and not to throw anybody under the bus, but here's a good example of why we hustle up the floor and not walk.
Hey,
So,
Bob.
Yep.
So one of the question is also was on the chat is, was there any calls in this game that were similar to this play out of your 8 block charge plays that you called on that game?
Well, I would say similar plays. There were 7 other block charge plays. As far as the movement of that defender, I would say movement was not as similar, because this one's kind of strange where the ball handler Euro steps or tries to sidestep the defender, and the defender now sticks his knee out or moves into the dribbler's path with that left knee, right? So, I mean, block charge plays being similar, yes, we had 7 other block charges in the game. But as far as the movement of that defender and that high impact of a call, I'll say no in that aspect.
Okay.
So that question is kind of like open the door at one end, close the door at the other, I think is what they're implying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, Jeff, you watched it. I mean, I thought overall we handled block chargers pretty well this game. Again, this was tough. Live, I thought the defender was moving laterally. So it was hard for me to see that knee until I watched it. That left knee is kind of what led us to calling it a block, moving that knee into the dribbler's path. But to break this down more so the trail's out of position, the trail's dead in the water here. So the lead and center have responsibilities for all 10 players now. So that's an expansion of coverage. So as we play this through, we've got a pass to the corner, okay? Lead recognizes it, adjusts out to pick up that primary defender, as Trail's got 2 players in front of him and more than likely cannot see through or see space between the on-ball defender and the ball handler, right? So lead adjusts out and is able to see between those 2. And now we have a drive, which puts more pressure on the lead. Hopefully the center would recognize the crew positioning here, and the center could actually get their eyes to the secondary defender as well if lead is not able to make that call. It's lead's responsibility to have block charge plays on secondary defenders first, right?
Correct.
But to be a good partner, the center has nothing else to officiate. So if the lead for some reason doesn't call this, they need to be ready to help.
Correct. And that's a good point for that C there to come in a couple more steps. Since there's nothing going on in their area, they would have had a great view of that if you would have passed or not seen it.
Yeah. So as the play continues to develop, the on-ball defender, primary defender gets beat. Lead now takes his eyes to the secondary defender and can see 2 feet on the floor facing the opponent, right? So that's the first judgment. Now we get to the next defender because we referee the defense, and we have to quickly assess legality of that defender. As you can see, the Trail's still up by half court. So completely out of the play, work low as Trail, get below the 28-foot mark here, and you may be able to help if needed. Again, it's always if needed, but a good partners are always going to have the other partner's back, which is having the information when you don't. So as we move forward, you can see that left knee as the offensive player Euro steps. That left knee is almost jamming, or I'll say moving slightly forward into the offensive player. And that's why as a group that Manny, Shelton and I deemed it a block, or it should have been called a block. And then as we play through, you can see when the lead comes up, we don't want to run through players. So the lead could have just been a little more patient going to the table to report and maybe let the players in blue clear that 3-point line. And then actually hustle to get into the reporting area versus pulling up at that free throw line and then walking and reporting, which is also a big no-no.
College.
So, well, in college, you're technically supposed to stop as well.
So Bob, I appreciate you being humble about this. So that's why you're a good official. Thank you for that.
Well, that's why I'm sharing here too. Hopefully the group gets better from this play, because this play it's a difficult block charge play, right? So if we can get to the fundamentals, get to the positioning, get to the definitions that are in the rule book, that's going to lead us to the truth, right?
So it's 7 o'clock. Do we have time for one more or?
Yeah, let's run one more here. If you need to drop off, feel free. We'll run one more play here. If I can do it smoothly. Same game, another block charge. And make sure it's slow. Yep, half speed.
Hey, Bob, could you send the link for that one too?
Yeah, so if you have the link from the old one, it's in the same playlist. I can send a link for this too. Give me a second. Let's see.
So while you're doing that, as an observer or an evaluator, that bothers me more than anything when we make a big league call and then we stand there and we have to look because we missed what number it is. We're in no hurry. Make the call. If you have to, take a breath, get yourself situated, get your number, then walk away. It looks really bad as you're walking away and you have to keep looking back to find out who the fouler was.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. I just put the link in the chat. And let me pull it up again. I'll run it twice and then we'll give some breakdown here. So again, same game, block charge play.
Different end of the court now, though.
Okay, I hope that was enough time for everyone to be able to watch it. Do we have feedback? Do we have, how's the chat doing, Manny?
It's because some people haven't been able to see the video.
Okay,
And
we'll give a
most of the
couple more
people-
minutes.
And most people say charge.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then Jeremy called it a block.
okay. Do we have anyone that wants to come on again and share their thoughts and break the play down?
You want to run it one more time?
Yeah.
If you can. Oh, that bothers me.
Well, most people seems to be in agreement that it's a charge.
Okay. Anyone who said charge want to share their thoughts on that? If not, we can move on to our breakdown and then conclude. Okay, I will share my screen and pull up our breakdown here, and then we'll conclude. All right, so play number 2, we said that the lead does a nice job mirroring the ball. As you can see at the start of the clip, there's a rotation. The rotation puts the crew in the best position to referee this play. The new trail stays low and sideline oriented as he referees the primary defender on the drive. The new center adjusts down, however, could use a little bit of a pep in his step and move with purpose. As the play develops, the lead picks
Excuse
up
me,
the
Bob.
second.
Bob, hold on a second.
Yep.
Because a lot of people are not able to see the screen that you're sharing. Yeah. There you go.
Now can we? Which screen are you guys seeing?
It says PNBOA Academy 2021.
Okay, perfect. That's the right one.
Yeah.
All right, let me get back to that slide here.
There you go. You disappear again.
It's loading.
Okay.
Yep.
Able to see that?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So anyway, we were giving props to the lead for mirroring the ball and putting the crew in the best position to referee the play. Props to the trail for staying low and sideline oriented. And then the center does get down. However, we would like to see a little bit of purposeful movement getting to the free throw line extended. And then as the play develops, the lead picks up the secondary defender and correctly calls a charge. However, when making the call, he needs to stop the clock and post a foul. After calling the foul, the lead and the crew need to stay with the players on the floor and use their voice to help manage them. And lastly, the lead needs to get to the reporting area, which is past the 3-point arc. So when we post the foul, we can take a second. So we can post, we can ship it or call the player control foul, and then we can wait a second now that we have a crash play, right? And make sure there's no retaliation or anything like that before we go report the foul. And in this situation, we needed to do that. The center turns his body and his head away from the players. The trail's looking back, but walking backwards. So he's by walking backwards, the trail is now taking himself out of that game management or out of that play. And the lead keeps his head on for a little bit, but the player is still on the floor when he goes to report. So we could have had that turn into something, and we're lucky that it didn't.
So basketball is a game of two things: timing and angles. And nothing happens until we say to start or stop. So you don't think that you have to be in a hurry to go get anything done. Get it right.
Exactly. And posting the foul actually will slow us down. So the better you get at posting the foul before just moving into what the foul was, will slow you down. And then with double whistles, it will actually help prevent having a blarge. So post the foul, make eye contact, and then report the foul.
Sure.
Anyway, thank you everyone for joining. It's great to see some of your faces, and I appreciate the feedback in the chat there. If you guys do have any further feedback, we did share our email at the start of the slides here, and we will be sharing the recording of this. So feel free to email the board if there's feedback, and we can incorporate that moving forward, or go and find our emails in the recording of this call.
Thank you,
I'm
guys.
gonna end
Thank
end the
you.
meeting. Have a
Thank
great
you.
evening, everyone.
Have
Okay.
it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good work.